In a village huddled so tightly together that its secrets had nowhere to hide, kindness was measured in coins and beauty was weighed like gold. There lived a widow and her 2 daughters. One was adored, one was ignored. And in the shadow of their small cottage, neither was truly seen. The first daughter was Maribel. Her laughter was the village's favorite song, her reflection the only one she ever truly loved. Obsessed with mirrors and the soft rustle of new ribbons, Maribel believed beauty was not just a gift, but a weapon of power she wielded with sharp words and a sharper smile, especially to those who served her. The second daughter was Lina, quiet, patient, and dressed in plain linen. She was the backdrop to her sister's brilliance. She moved through life like a gentle sigh, listening more than she ever spoke and offering kindness without ever expecting it in return. She was a constant like the sunrise and just as easily overlooked. Their mother, hollowed out by hardship, saw the world through a bitter lens. She lavished praise on Maribel, whose beauty was a currency she understood. But she resented Lina's quiet nature, mistaking her patience for weakness, her silence for an absence of worth. Every morning, before the sun had a chance to warm the cobblestones, Lina was sent to fetch water from a deep well in the heart of the forest. It was a long, lonely walk, one she made while Maribel slept soundly, dreaming of admirers in silken gowns. One dawn, as mist clung to the ancient trees, Lina reached the well, her arms aching. There, hunched over the stone rim, was an old woman, her back bent like a willow branch, her skin wrinkled like a dried leaf. She looked up, her eyes clouded with thirst. "A little water, child," she rasped, her voice thin and dry. Though weary from her journey, Lina didn't hesitate. She drew a fresh bucket from the cool depths of the well, poured some into her own cup, and offered it to the stranger. As the woman drank, she began to speak, her words a lonely tale of a life lived without notice. Lina listened, her head tilted, her presence a quiet comfort in the silent woods. She offered not pity, but understanding. When the story was finished, the old woman handed back the empty cup. She smiled, but it was not the gentle smile of a grateful beggar, nor was it a cruel, knowing smirk. It was a smile that held the wisdom of the forest itself. In that moment, her stooped form straightened, her ragged clothes shimmered, and her eyes cleared to reveal the deep, ancient green of moss and memory. She was no beggar. She was a spirit of the forest. The spirit's voice was like the rustling of leaves and the rush of hidden streams. "You gave without asking," she said to Lina. "You listened without judgment. For every kind word you speak, from this day forward, your truth shall shine." And so it was. When Lina returned home and greeted her mother, a perfect sparkling diamond fell from her lips and clattered onto the floor. When she spoke a soft word of thanks for her meager breakfast, a cascade of luminous pearls scattered at her feet. With every gentle phrase, light would glimmer in the air around her, a visible echo of her goodness. But this blessing was also a burden. The weight of the gems hurt her mouth. Her jaw ached. Her natural silence, once a comfort, was now a prison she desperately sought, for to speak was to bleed jewels. When the mother and Maribel saw what was happening, their eyes widened not with concern for Lina, but with sheer, unadulterated greed. They rejoiced not for the sister they'd ignored, but for the riches that now fell from her. The mother's bitterness melted away, replaced by avarice. Maribel's vanity swelled into a furious envy. "What did you do?" Maribel demanded, shaking Lina by the shoulders. After forcing the story from her sister, she grabbed a bucket and ran, not walked, to the forest well. She wouldn't be outdone. She would have a gift far greater than Lina's. She found the spirit waiting, but not as an old beggar. This time, the spirit appeared as a noble woman, dressed in silks and dripping with her own ethereal jewels, as if testing Maribel's heart from a different angle. "I am so terribly thirsty," the noble woman sighed, fanning herself delicately. "Could you spare a drop of water?" Maribel scoffed, her impatience a sharp, ugly thing. "Fetch it yourself. Can't you see I'm in a hurry?" "I have no time for lazy aristocrats," she sneered, her beautiful face twisted with contempt. The noble woman's elegant facade dissolved. Her eyes turned cold as the deepest part of the well, and her voice was the crack of a frozen branch. "Your words are quick to wound," the spirit hissed. "So let them reveal your heart for all to see." Maribel, stunned into silence, turned and fled back to the cottage. As she burst through the door to tell her mother what happened, her first angry word was met with horror. A slimy, wriggling toad fell from her perfect lips and flopped onto the floor. With her next shout of disgust, a cold black snake slithered from her mouth, followed by a shower of dark, clicking beetles. Her beauty remained flawless, a porcelain mask, but now horror followed her every utterance. The village, hearing of the miracle, flocked to Lina. They praised her not for her spirit, but for the jewels she produced. They didn't want to hear her words. They wanted to mine her kindness. Soon, her mother's greed hardened into cruelty. She locked Lina in a small, dark room, forcing her to speak on command, harvesting her pain like a crop. Lina's kind words became a currency, her gentle heart a commodity to be bought and sold. The laughter in their home was gone, replaced by the cold, hard sound of gems being counted. Maribel, meanwhile, was cast out. Her beauty meant nothing when her speech brought only disgust and fear. Shunned and alone, she wandered the edges of the village, her heart growing not with regret, but with a furious, burning rage. Her suffering, she believed, was Lina's fault. One moonless night, their paths crossed again in the deep woods, by the very well where it all began. Maribel, her fine clothes tattered, her hair a wild mess, fell to her knees before her sister. "Speak for me, Lina," she begged, her voice a desperate whisper that produced a clutch of crawling insects. "Speak, Jules, so I can buy back my life. You owe me this. Your kindness has ruined me." Lina looked at her sister, at the desperate greed in her eyes, at the complete absence of remorse. And for the first time in her life, Lina refused. A quiet, simple no was all she said. A single, perfect teardrop of a diamond fell onto the moss. That one word broke Maribel. A cruel, desperate struggle began. A flash of fury, a desperate grab, a silent fall. And then only the sound of the wind through the trees. The forest floor was littered with diamonds, sparkling like fallen stars across a carpet of dark, damp leaves. Lina was never seen again. Some villagers whisper that she became a new spirit of the well, her silence finally her own. Others say the earth, unable to bear the weight of such sorrow, simply swallowed her kindness whole, taking her back into itself. Maribel was left to wander the world alone, her flawless beauty a curse, forever unadmired, for no one would ever get close enough to see it. The village grew rich from the jewels they had collected. They built grander homes and wore finer clothes. But the sound of genuine laughter was never heard in its streets again. Joy, it seemed, had left with Lina, for kindness is not a resource to be harvested. It is a light to be shared. And beauty, without a heart full of compassion, is nothing more than a pretty mask for a decay that rots from the inside out. Thank you for watching.